Welcome back, my Be Health Empowered family, to another episode of Excuse Me, Doctor. My name is Dr. Melissa Clark. Of course, please call me Dr. Mel. I am delighted to be here with you each and every week, bringing you the information that you need to make wise health decisions, not just for yourself, but also for your family and for your community. Thanks for tuning in on whatever platform you're catching us on. If it happens to be Facebook, though, I want you to do me a favor. Please hit that like button. And if you're catching us on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate you for it. And we're welcoming all the newbies. And after this episode, you're not going to be a newbie. You're going to be part of the Be Health Empowered family. And you're going to know that I can only do this each and every week with my fantabulous co-hosts, Miss Lila Mayes and Mr. Wayne Bruce. Where y'all at?
Hey.
What up, Dr. Mel? What up?
Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday.
Hey. We are going to create an amazing week for ourselves with this extraordinary show, I have to say, because this is a special show, isn't it, y'all?
It's a special show. It's a producer show. It is run by the producer, but not today. It's just run by all of us. We used to run this show, but we don't anymore.
Well, you still do, because I don't even know what order we're going to talk about what in. So y'all are running it. Y'all just need to tell me what to talk about when.
Okay. All right. Well,
let's kick it off, Lai.
Shall we just jump right on in here?
Let's jump right on in. They ain't ready for this one.
Amazing topics lined up that are designed to empower you. It's all the latest breaking stuff that y'all need to know. So it's just going to be the three of us today. So hang on.
Okay. Do we have a recap this week, or we just jump?
No, Lai. This is producer show. We straight out the box, man.
So, why don't we talk about, because this one was real close to my heart. Let's talk about the worst processed foods. Because listen, your girl almost passed out when she heard hot links on that thing.
What are the deadliest? So we're gonna go right to what are the top deadliest processed foods. Dr. Mel.
Well, this is the thing. Not all processed foods are equally harmful. So they did this study of over 100,000 people who just filled out surveys every 4 years on what they were eating, right? And they noticed that there was a 4% higher, and then they tracked their health over time. They noticed that there was a 4% higher risk of death and almost a 10% higher risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Think Parkinson's, think Alzheimer's, think multiple sclerosis. Those are all neurodegenerative diseases. So 10% higher risk of those from people who ate the highest diet in ultra processed foods. So that was 7 servings a day versus those who ate the fewest amount of ultra processed foods, 3 or fewer servings a day.
So what's ultra processed foods off the bat?
All right. So think your breakfast cereals. So I'm going to do the carbs first. The breakfast cereals, the whole grain breads, the package, biscuit, pancake, waffle mixes, all of those. You have your sweets, of course, your ice cream, your fruit flavored yogurts, your canned and instant soups, even some alcoholic drinks like whiskey, gin, and rum, all considered ultra processed. And then you got your processed meats. Those are the things that horrified Lila so much, like the hot links, the bacon, the pepperoni, the deli meat, the ham, the sausage. All those things are considered ultra processed. And then for those of you who are the soda lovers out there, even the diet soda lovers, sugar sweetened beverages and artificially sweetened beverages, all of that falls into this ultra processed universe of potentially terrible for you. Like
But
terrible.
what if I eat healthy most of the time and then I just have to have a little hot link once a week or once every other week or something? Can we make that work?
So before I get, but yeah, yes, you can make that work. And before I explain to you why you can make that work, it's important to know that of all that list that I just ran through, the ultra processed meats and the sugary or artificially sweetened beverages were the ones that tracked with the higher rate of death and neurodegenerative diseases. So those are the two standouts on the list that you want
Yeah.
to avoid at all costs. But this is the analogy that I give in terms of what you're saying about, if you occasionally have a hot link, but for most of the time you're doing your plant-based and, you're getting your antioxidants in. If your ultimate goal is to have a clean house, you want to minimize the number of messy house guests that you have coming over versus people to clean up your house. So as long as the balance of people that are cleaning up your house exceeds your messy house gets, overall your house will be clean, right? So you want to minimize the messy house guests. Think, the ultra processed foods. You want to maximize the house cleaners, those things that help clean up your body, like fiber and fruits and produce, vegetables, antioxidants. So overall, at the end of each day, your body or your house is at its best. So all that to say, yes, an occasional hot link every blue moon, you'd be all right, as long as you're doing everything else right.
So what you saying, Dr. Mel, hot links are like the unwanted guests that come and put mud on your white sofa with their shoes. hot
Correct.
hot links track around they track around mud in your new carpet.
Correct. Exactly. And you
And I'm
want
glad you said nothing about sodas. I'm so glad.
no, 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 no. Sodas and the processed meats. Don't try to wiggle out of this one.
Huh?
Sodas are a no-no. Any sugar sweetened beverage, that includes sodas. And even if it's artificially sweetened, it's on the list of no-nos. Bottom line.
Lila, I don't hear Lila anymore. My goodness. My goodness.
I
She
think
didn't
she
mute.
got shut down by the idea of the hot links again.
Did she get shut down by Hot Links ideas? I don't know, man. I gotta watch out for Lila.
My mic was on. I'm not sure why.
Now
There you go.
you on. Now you on.
My light is green. I was saying I was really surprised to see that flavored yogurt was on the
Right.
list.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that's on the because of the, it's kind of syrupy, it's not the, they if you're eating yogurt, the best thing to do is to buy the plain yogurt, and then add your own fruit because the fruit that they add is processed. It's not like fresh
sure.
fruit. It's in some kind of syrup. And
Right.
sometimes it probably has preservative.
Is Mercury in retrograde?
Something is. So this is what it is. It's Monday. It's a producer show. So things are happening. It's what,
Right.
Yeah.
this is how
Right.
it goes.
Dr. Mel's trying to figure it out. But it's Monday. It's things that happen. So look, let's at this where we lie.
Well, we were talking about processed foods,
Okay.
so let me make this segue. Chewing with these teeth. Let's go into periodontal disease. How about that?
All right. We had a show on periodontal disease. Dr. Mel, what do you remember our doctor's name? Is Dr. Mel back? She doesn't. So let's go straight to the tape.
Okay.
Talked about cavities, we talked about abscess, we talked about spread of infection. Are there even other things that can result from, not taking care of your teeth and your mouth health?
Absolutely. Most people have heard of periodontal disease or pyorrhea or gum disease. There's so many different names of it. And basically, it's another bacteria that's in your mouth up under your gums. It causes your bone to start disintegrating, but it also can increase your diabetic or glycemic levels, or as people say, my sugar levels I can't get them regulated no matter how much medication I'm on. Check your mouth, because if you have periodontal disease, it's a strong correlation between periodontal disease and diabetes. But yes, also if you're having heart surgery, heart issues, the same bacteria that's in periodontal disease can travel to your heart and cause different things to happen there. So it's just amazing that people don't think of the mouth, but the same bacteria that's there can travel anywhere in the body and wreak havoc. Autoimmune diseases, if you have Sjogren's syndrome, I mean, it's just different things that we can see in your mouth, and we say you need to go get this checked out. And people are like, how did you know? Well, because there are ways in the mouth. There are ulcers. Your mouth is dry. There's just different things that we see that we know that there is also something else going on in your body.
Yeah. That was a great episode because, we had never done anything about teeth before, right? And about oral health and going to the dentist. And I mean, she just made some amazing observations and dropped a whole lot of knowledge around how the mouth is the, gateway to the rest of the body, and how all the different kinds of levels of health that you can tell from somebody's mouth. So that was a great episode.
That was a really good show. Really, really good show.
Yeah, and before we go into that even further, is we have a in the chat, Michelle Thomas says she's deaf, and she wants to know, does yogurt affect diabetes?
Does yogurt affect diabetes?
We were talking about the yogurt, the unhealthy yogurt.
Oh yeah, you mean the fruit flavored yogurt. Yeah, because it has high levels of sugar. So if you have diabetes, again, you want to avoid it, and yogurt in general is healthy. Especially if you get the kind of yogurt that doesn't have a lot of sugar in it, and then you add your own low glycemic fruit, which means the kind of fruit that doesn't spike your blood sugar. So berries are a great example of that. Or apples are also a great example. Pears, all fruit that doesn't really spike your blood sugar. Add that fresh fruit to your yogurt, you're good.
There you have it. So let's get back to periodontal disease. So what were you saying about the doctor?
Well, I was just saying that, I wasn't really, I had finished talking about periodontal disease, but actually what it segues into very nicely is the fact that she mentioned that poor oral health is correlated with certain diseases like dementia. And that's one of the next things I think we're going to talk about, right?
What's the latest on dementia? On dementia?
So the latest is that dementia is on the rise, and it affects more than 55 million people. Wow. And accounts for more than 1 in 3 deaths of adults across the globe. And even though we've been having good news in terms of declining rates of certain cancers and heart disease, that's not what's happening in dementia world. It's on the rise, and we're getting more than 10 million new cases every year.
Wow. That is really, really interesting. It's scary, but really scary, because I think all of us, well, not I think, I know all of us on the show tonight have personal experience with folks who have been diagnosed with dementia. My aunt has been diagnosed with dementia, and it's really, really difficult. And I think one of the things that's most difficult about it being on the rise is, certainly if you have a family member who has it, you can't help but think, is this going to be my outcome at some point? Right?
Yeah.
Looking at my mother-in-law, it was Mother's Day yesterday, and my mother-in-law has been not she's had dementia for quite some time, and it's tough to watch and take care of as a family member. And I'm
Sure.
not even, I'm not. She didn't have me, but she has me now.
Mhm.
As a son-in-law, but I can only imagine what families like her children. I can't get into that mind. Go through,
Yeah.
right?
And I have two family members who've been diagnosed with dementia just since the beginning of the year.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think that these statistics kind of hold true when we think about our own experience and the people in our
Right.
lives that we know with dementia.
Yeah.
So,
But
so,
yeah, go
so
ahead,
what
Wayne.
can we do? What's the latest on this?
To lower
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so we need to be thinking, everybody needs to be thinking about how they can lower their risk of
Mhm.
dementia. And so there was a recent study that came out. Like I said, this is the hot off the presses show.
Right.
So this was a study of 90,000 people, and they looked at olive oil, something real simple.
Mm.
And they found that people who take 7 or more grams of olive oil a day had almost a 30% lower risk of dementia related death compared to individuals who who never used olive oil in their diets, right?
Wow.
Mhm.
So olive oil is known to be great for the brain, great for the heart, great for the blood vessels. It has the right kind of fat. It has
Mhm.
vitamin E, and it has other antioxidants in it that it looks to be correlated with delaying or preventing the onset of Alzheimer's dementia.
Mhm.
And so what the recommendation is regularly, every day shooting for that 7 or more grams of olive oil, which is basically 4 to 5 tablespoons a day of olive oil. Um, Combined with a heart healthy diet, um, which that can really impact your risk of getting dementia down the line.
Okay, well that's good to know because I use olive oil every morning for my healthy breakfast, not including a hot link. But I I but I do I spray it. So I have an amazing bottle from one of the online stores where you can just pour your olive oil in instead of buying the canned spray. You can just pour your
Mm.
stuff into a bottle that sprays. Spray it in the pan, eggs, ground turkey, vegetables. So for me, that's one of the ways that I get
Mhm.
my olive oil in. Not all of it at one time, but that's one of the ways I get it in the morning.
Right. Well, I
So
I
what's
cook
the
my
normal?
eggs. Well,
Go ahead.
I cook my eggs in olive oil. I love how it makes my eggs taste because I'm not a
Yeah,
big egg person, but I
yeah,
try to use it to get in my protein.
yeah.
And when I call 'em my Italian eggs. I use
Yes.
olive oil. I sprinkle a little basil, a little oregano on there, a little pepper, and I'm good. But you can use it in place of most oils to saute and sprinkle over your veggies instead of roasting it. I don't know if you have any other ideas in terms
Well,
of
you
how you
can
get the olive oil in.
I do the other way I get it in is I make my own salad dressing these days. So that's heavy on the olive oil, lemon, whatever, make a little lemon vinaigrette. But I've heard people like put it in coffee and on their ice cream. Have you heard this?
I've heard of
Have
No,
olive
you
oil
ever
ice
had
cream.
that?
I
no,
have. I'm gonna try it too. I've heard of olive
no,
oil ice cream,
no,
but
no.
as much as I really need to be staying away from bread, what I call my crack is
Mhm.
olive oil and balsamic vinegar and dipping bread in there. So if
It's
you're
good
trying to
stuff.
avoid carbs, don't go that route, but
You
that's
you
also a
you
possibility.
you know this reminds me of an episode we had on aging and
Mhm.
how also with dealing with dementia, which is an aging disease, that they
Mhm.
talked about community. And I wanted to show a clip from that if I could.
Okay.
Let's do
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
So, Lai, you want to go first?
Yes, absolutely. So you just mentioned taking this from an individual sort of approach to a community, can you give us an example, Dr. Brown, of how we can create community around us being healthy, living longer?
Yes, I would love to share some amazing community efforts that I've seen around aging that have been really impactful for me, but also for the communities that I'm a part of. Support groups. I'm sure that this is not extremely popular. It's not a popular topic. It's hard to get people to go. Support groups for caregivers, support groups for people with dementia, support groups for certain types of diseases of aging. Because Black people often experience so much turmoil in getting to the doctor, discrimination, being discounted, not being heard. Because we experience so much of that, it's really important that we find avenues outside of the doctor's office to support each other. And these support groups that are often they're faith-based or they're connected to a church, they're organized in certain ways. They can be spaces where people can come to talk about their experiences and get information. And that's from things, starting with like actual disease management and how to support each other in caregiving and meals and trying to improve the condition of the person we're caring for. But it also goes out to asset planning and thinking about end of life care and when to get on hospice and how to get Medicare, how to get insurance and the things that you need. This last third of life, 60 plus, is extremely hard to navigate all of the resources and the insurance spaces and the hospital systems, and doing that in community with other Black people who are also navigating those systems. When I tell you that this is an incredible resource that has undeniable benefit for the community, like these support groups can really change your ability to navigate these spaces for your parent, for you, for your loved one, for your children. So I would highly recommend those. The other thing that I think, that I've started to see really come into the spaces that I'm in terms of data collection and how we're even getting data to be able to understand the aging experience of Black people. Something is this organization called Data for Black Lives. And they're really trying to fight the capitalistic and colonialistic approach to data collection that has disadvantaged Black people over time. And we are not a part of the data creation. We don't own our own data. We have no control where it goes. So organizations that are really trying to change the data landscape so that Black people can become invested in research, they can control their data, there's some benefit sharing, it's not exploitative, it's connecting them to services that they actually need and not just planning for some unforeseeable future. Science and research have a long way to go to improve the relationships they have in the community. And there are organizations like Data for Black Lives that are really intentionally trying to change the data landscape so we can even learn about what are the things that we need as a community.
Okay. You touched on so many things that are hugely.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Dr. Mill.
No, I was just going to say, I think the point she made, especially in the first half, in terms of the benefit of support groups, I mean, we see two things. People have a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression because we're disconnected from each other. Social isolation is actually a risk factor for disease. And also, closely related to that, the definition of stress is feeling that you don't have the enough resources to weather whatever the challenge is. And I think what happens when you get into community is you realize that there are other people just like you facing the same challenges and getting through it. And it helps to boost your attitude, boost your mental health, cut down on your social isolation, cut down on your stress because you no longer feel as overwhelmed. And not only that, you pick up incredible information in sort of a learning community from other people, especially around this thing of caregiving. So if Alzheimer's is shooting up, right? that means the number of caregivers is shooting up. And we really have to come together to really be able to effectively manage it. I thought she was excellent in making those
She was
points.
great.
Yeah, I'm glad you tied that together, Dr. Mel, because I didn't want it to seem random that it was there. You know,
Well, that was exactly what you were thinking, right?
exactly what I was thinking. Exactly. But Dr.
Yeah.
Brown really hit home with that point of community. And I'm glad Lila asked that question because at the time you couldn't ask the question, Dr. Mel. You were having a coughing fit.
I was. Something had gone down the wrong way and I was struggling. I think it was pretty obvious on camera, right? I was struggling.
That's cool. Where we
Okay. Well, I loved it. Was it Dr. Brown? Dr. Brown was awesome. I keep
Dr.
hoping
Brown.
that I'm going to run into her in Lamar Park, but I haven't yet. We were, before Dr. Brown came on, we were talking about Dr. Mel sprinkling a little olive oil on our ice cream. We're going to try that. I'm going to segue into smoothie land. See that? Ice cream into smoothies. See how that goes. Maximize your smoothie game. How can we do that, Dr. Mel? Uh-oh.
We lost your mic, Dr. Mel. You was laughing.
Smoothies are all the craze, right? A lot of people are doing smoothies, but a lot of people are doing smoothies where they're just doing fruit and they're adding sugar and it's just like, you know, defeating the whole purpose, essentially.
Right.
Yeah. So I like to think of it as there are 5 key ingredients to really maximize your smoothie game and make sure that you're getting the fiber, the nutrients, the vitamins, the omega 3s that you can actually pack into just one meal and basically get everything you need for the day. So these are the 5 things. Number 1, protein. You want to make sure that you're getting protein because as we get older, we lose we lose muscle. And by getting in enough protein every day, you're maintaining your muscle mass, which is critical for balance, critical for just, functioning, right? So adding protein, using a smoothie to get your protein in is an excellent strategy. So you can get a commercial protein powder. You can add silken tofu, the soft kind of tofu, because that's going to make it creamy and that has lots of protein. You can use Greek yogurt, which has more protein than the average yogurt. So all those are ways to get protein in your smoothie. Number 2, healthy fat and fiber sources. So you can add chia seeds, which give you both fat and are extra high in fiber. You can add ground flaxseed. That's an excellent, again, source of healthy fats. Or you can use nut butters, which also give protein. Avocado is a great fat. Lots of health benefits with that particular fat. And then finally, oats. Oats you can add to smoothies. It'll make it creamy and it gives you a lot of fiber. So that's number 2.
Okay.
Yep. So protein, number 1, healthy fat and fiber. Number 3, that's where your fruit comes in. Okay. The fruit is going to add the sugar that you need. You should not have to add extra sugar. So the avocado is a fruit, but we already talked about that back in the fats. Berries, again, great source of sort of natural sweetness, but it doesn't really spike your blood sugar. Mangoes and bananas, if you're a person that just can't live without the sugar, they're going to give you the extra sugar, but they also include fiber and other vitamins. So you can add those as well, but they're going to be a little higher in sugar. So that's your fruit. And then number 4
Right,
are your
4.
veggies.
Yeah,
This is
4.
where you get a whole serving of actually 3 or 4 servings of veggies, depending on how much green leafy vegetables you can stuff in there, your spinach, your kale. In the summertime, you want to throw in maybe some cucumber because that's going to give you extra water to stay hydrated. I love beets. I can't mention vegetables without beets. They add a natural sweetness, and they help to lower blood pressure. Um, Cauliflower takes on the flavor of whatever you combine it with, so it will add some creaminess to your smoothie, but at the same time get that fiber in there. And then this was one that I've never tried, but as I was researching this, I saw cooked sweet potatoes,
Yeah.
which are going to add, they're going to add a creaminess, um, but they're packed with vitamins, and they'll also add a little bit of sweetness too.
I
So
can't
those
wait
are, yeah, I'm gonna
throw some
try. I'm
potatoes in
definitely
there.
gonna try that.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna pass on the beets. I'm just gonna pass on the beets.
Love
So, do you
beets.
need all these things in a smoothie, or
You don't
you
have to
need
put it
3 or
in
5,
every.
or what would be the suggestion?
My suggestion is to use one from each of those examples that I gave you. So each of the 5 categories, use one example in your smoothie or one option in your smoothie, because then that way you're covering all your bases. But you
Right.
don't have to every day. You can make it based on your taste and what you like. And then the last thing, number 5, actually didn't get that. That's just the liquid base.
Okay.
So you got to put ice or water or a plant-based milk in there to make it liquidy.
Hey, so
Right.
look, I mean, I want to see. We got people in the chat. Put your favorite, and at the end of the show, put your favorite. We're gonna go over it. Put your favorite smoothie in the chat. What you like to do with your smoothie? You know what I mean? I like to double up on up on fruit. So I'm gonna have mango and bananas and strawberries and berries.
What's your protein? So wait, so protein, fiber, fat, protein, fat,
Veggie,
fiber, veggie,
veggies
Veggies,
and
fruit, and liquid.
veggies and fruit.
and
And then
liquid.
some liquid. Yep.
So
Exactly.
we make smoothies almost probably I make enough to last for a day, for at least 2 days. We make smoothies so much in this house that our blender actually just burnt out.
Gave up. It was like, I need a break.
It was like I'm done. So I was like, okay, that's fine. The NutriBullet will come in right behind you and take up the slack. But I do mostly anti-inflammatory smoothies, so they are spinach, bananas, turmeric, ginger, protein powder, another greens sort of additive, almond milk, and I think that's it. And some pineapple, some frozen pineapple.
Oh yeah,
And
pineapple is a
cucumber.
good one. I didn't throw the pineapple in there.
Yeah, I put cucumber in all the smoothies if we have it in the house. So they taste
Okay.
fresh and green and yummy.
Okay. Well, my go-to is blueberries or mango with protein. Vanilla, it has to be vanilla flavored protein powder. Um, Spinach or kale. I sometimes throw the ginger in there. And I use water or ice. And yeah, and the chia seeds and the flax seed. I use both of
Right.
those in there.
So let
Flax
me
meal,
say,
rather.
Patsy Graham Walton says her favorite smoothie has spinach, peanut butter, banana, vanilla protein, flaxseed with a water base. Come on for the water. Now,
All right.
and so Alfreda Free Lismore says, I go to Tropical Smoothie and I get the Island Green avocado. Avocado and sub out the sugar and add the honey, and they have most of the ingredients Dr. Mel mentioned. Thanks, Dr. Mel.
All right.
Shout
I
out to
forgot. I
everybody.
did put.
Shout out to everybody in the DMV and my old Suitland class. I just
All
want to
right.
shout out to everybody.
I
They
forgot.
coming
I
in the chat.
forgot the. I forgot the avocado. I do put
Right.
avocado in because that makes it really creamy and delicious.
Okay. So I don't do smoothies that much, but I might start. I might start.
Yeah.
But
It's just it's a super easy way to get your vegetables serving and just knock it out. And for me, when I do drink them, So I don't always make for
So
myself.
so lie question. You said your blender broke, right? So
Uh-huh.
just we shouting out any 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 vendors, any blender ideas, put it in the chat. If you what's the best blender? Because she has
Yeah,
to get a
I
new
had one of
blender.
the best
You have
ones, and
to
that
replace
thing said, "I'm done."
Okay.
all right.
Cool.
All right,
So
what we got next?
so we take that to we had an incredible discussion on colon cancer and getting screened. And I cannot pronounce the doctor's name right here, but you know him well, Dr. Mel. And I want to go to that because it's very important for us, especially men that don't get screened enough, to get screened for colon cancer, right? We talk about smoothies, we want things to move through. So let's check that out.
As you are getting older, because the number one predictor of people getting cancer is aging. And not too long ago, I used to tell people I'm getting older, and the guy told me, he said, well, getting old is a privilege not given to all. And I'm like, wow, I can't even floor that statement. So
It's true.
That's what
it's
is
true,
true.
because getting old is a privilege not given to all. So as we get older, the chances of getting cancer increases. So even if you have no symptom and you are 45, you should begin screening. So that would be number one. And then for those who are younger, okay, because once you begin the process of screening, you're already in the system to protect your colon from colon cancer. But for those who are younger or at any point in time, if you notice you are seeing blood in your stool, okay, don't just ignore it that maybe it's just hemorrhoid. Don't do that. Don't assume. I mean, in my Yoruba background, there's an entity they call Jedi, which nobody can really explain what that means. They put everything in it, whether it is blood in stool, whether a man that cannot do 12 rounds overnight, they put everything in it and they call it the same thing. So everybody has some problems in terms of defining what would tilt you over. But blood in stool, changes in your bowel habits, losing weight when you can't explain it, or having anemia, or you are told that your blood count is low, especially for a man. Okay, because a man, we know men don't lose blood, right? So if you are, they don't lose blood in a monthly cycle, right? So if a man is having iron deficiency anemia, they're taking your blood count is low, it has to be investigated why are you losing blood. So these are the general things that are very important in terms of understanding if one is developing colon cancer, and then should see the doctor for appropriate evaluation.
Dr. Liamo.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, it struck me today and just listening to that. Uh, if you don't know, I am a musician by trade. Hence the studio behind me. And we lost a friend of mine today, and a hero of mine in the music industry to cancer, Mr. David Sanborn. And in the 80s and 90s, he was the sound of smooth jazz, or before he was even smooth jazz, he was the sound of jazz. And if it was Bruce Willis and him, or no, it was what was it? Lethal Weapon. And all the Lethal Weapon movies, it was Danny Glover, it was Mel Gibson and the saxophone. That was the movie, right? In any scene, and that was so rest in peace, David Sanborn. And that just took me listening to Dr. Leamo about colon cancer and about cancer in general. Took me to say that, Dr. Mel. Sorry for taking over the
Yeah,
show.
no. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I remember David Sanborn was my entree into jazz, into smooth jazz, I should say. And so, yeah, love his music. Had a chance to meet him, but I think sort of using, we've had a lot of celebrities, obviously several celebrities who we've lost over the years to cancer. When I think about colon cancer, I think, of course, about Chadwick Boseman. But I think when we do have these public figures who succumb to these diseases, it's often a wake up call for the rest of us to sort of think, hey, what do I need to be doing? What do I need to be doing to, monitor my health better? And I think that clip from Dr. Layamo really was like, hey, there's certain symptoms that you get that you just can't ignore, right? And I don't know what he called it in Yoruba. I'm not even gonna go there. But basically,
Yeah.
the bottom line is don't blow things off. Get it checked out, especially when it comes to, bleeding in the stool, um, anemia, especially if you're a man. Those are two things that you just absolutely cannot just brush aside. They have to be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
So where are we going next?
We got vaping, man.
Okay.
Is it, we were around a lot of young people this week, and
Graduation season,
man. And young people are different. They will vape anywhere. They just
Old people too.
Yeah,
old
I was
people
gonna
too.
say old people too.
Yeah.
Don't put it all on the young people. I've seen older people vape anywhere.
Just vaping anywhere.
I saw
yeah.
somebody vaping at the Frankie Beverly concert last night. Yes.
Yeah.
They was not young.
I wanna know. Hold on.
Happy feeling.
Yes.
Right. Shout out to Frankie Beverly on his final tour.
Yes.
What? But is it safer than smoking, Dr. Mel?
A lot of people think it is, but the bottom line is you're inhaling toxins in your body. That's never a safe bet.
Right.
And we know that vaping has been linked to, serious heart and lung damage because of the chemicals and the heavy metals that you are inhaling. And it can even be, just as addictive as traditional smoking. And if what you're vaping has nicotine in it, you're going to get the same, negative side effects that you get from traditional smoking of nicotine. So anxiety, stress, problem sleeping. So no is the bottom line. It is not safer than traditional smoking. It can have the same harmful side effects.
Which annoys me. I've never been a vapor, but that annoys me because it was definitely sold to the public as this safer alternative. And I think one of the things that makes it so popular for young people is the different flavors and that kind of thing, right? So, so they are apparently the fastest growing group, the younger people. They're not the only people smoking or vaping anywhere, but I think, if I can say this, they are being targeted with the flavors and the options.
Yeah. And actually, from a lifelong consumer, if you can get a young person, you're kind of getting a lifelong consumer, right? So luckily there have been, tamping down on marketing of vaping to young people, but they're at higher risk for addiction because their brain is still growing.
Sure.
Wow. Yeah, I guess that brings us, I wish I had the clip to bring up, but I remember Dr. Reed Tuckson and Dr. Leslie Kingslow talking about just how they target our community. And one of the easiest ways is flavoring menthol, like flavoring menthol, so you don't realize what menthol is doing to you. And it's you probably would know more than I, Dr. Mel, of course, but how that was brought in our community, or what, just the destruction that's done.
Yeah, so Black people smoke menthol cigarettes more, and the menthol sort of masks the negative taste, and it was is actually the menthol itself makes the nicotine effect even worse and makes it more addictive. And so those kinds of cigarettes were definitely targeted more to Black and brown communities. And so there's a legislation trying to get those banned, and it's been very controversial because some people are saying, oh, well, that's going to make menthol cigarettes, if you make them illegal, then that's going to be another reason to arrest Black people because Black people will be selling them as onesies. But overall, if you look at it from a public health standpoint, it's causing more death in the Black community. And so, I think most public health and most medical professionals and Black organizations are now saying, no, it's more important to ban the menthol cigarettes than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. But thanks for making that connection. Smoking, vaping, menthol cigarettes. Bottom line, don't start if you're not already doing it. And if you are doing it, there are ways to quit smoking in conjunction with your healthcare provider. There are ways to help wean off of cigarettes and deal with that addiction because it's one of the most powerfully addictive substances in the world.
Yeah. Wean, not Wayne.
Wean. Yes. Wean off. Yes.
So I want to stay in the college mode, man. Just stay here. We had a guest on. We had a Empower Her episode about HIV, and it was interesting, to say the least. Had some interesting things happen, but we also had we kind of birthed a star on that show with the young Sarah Prince, and when she talked about knowing your status in college. I like to go to that. How about that, Dr. Mel?
Yeah, no, that's great. Her organization specifically works with young people on college campuses to know their HIV status. So I think that's the clip you're going to play.
Kind of echoing what Deirdre said, we really emphasize just the importance of knowing your status just for your own health and for the health of others. I mean, we all are trying to eat better and go to the gym and take care of our mental health, but getting tested and seeing your doctor and doing all those things is also, a proactive step towards taking control of your health. And a lot of times the signs and symptoms of HIV, fever, fatigue, sore throat, headache, okay, I get that every day. So I'm just like, okay, you can't just use those symptoms to say, okay, I have something. It's important to get tested regularly to know your status. And that's how I get my youth. I always list out the symptoms and signs, and they're like, well, that sounds like the flu, or that sounds like COVID. I'm like, yeah. So it's important for you to get tested and, just make sure that you know your status.
Wow.
Yeah, she broke it down there, right?
She's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
what's the
young
smile
people.
line?
Because she's so good. She was so great. I mean, I just love her passion around what she does and how she is so invested in her group of people, her cohort, really, not a cohort, but her peers. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, she's a little older because I think she has finished her public health training, but yeah, she's obviously closer to their age, and she's had that lived experience very recently, so she can identify. Notice how she said, I can get my youth by by breaking it down. And it's true, a lot of people might just think, oh, I have a cold, but not realize that unprotected sex then expose them to HIV, and the symptoms that they're having are a lot more serious than a cold or even the flu. And so really making that connection to say, hey, you need to get tested on a regular basis to know your status so that you can, number one, not pass it to other people, but number two, there are very effective medications on the market now for HIV that make it so that, you can go to undetectable. You probably see in the commercials for PrEP, you can basically suppress the amount of virus to almost zero in your body by taking this medicine on a regular basis. I'm sorry, I said PrEP. I misspoke. The antiretroviral medications, you can have this very effective treatment that can make it so that you can, not pass it to your partner, and live a life like Magic Johnson has lived, right? Where he's, been very successful and very healthy and active despite having HIV. So regular testing, I think her point was to know your status, to not pass it on, and to protect, your own health.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good
that's a good
information.
one. I mean, that it's a few more episodes that we've done recently that have really affected me, and I think none more than the episode on death, dying, and all the things that
Palliative
surround it.
care.
Palliative care.
Palliative care. Yeah. I remember
And
that was a powerful episode.
Good
that was a
ones.
powerful episode. I mean, we've all three dealt with it. I'm quite sure our audience at some point in time you've all dealt with it. And I was able to share a story about what happened with my sister. I mean, I'm just, these holidays, Mother's Days, and all those things make you bring back the thought of family sometimes that's not here.
Yeah.
So I won't say anything else. I'll just go to the clip. I think I got to jump in because this conversation is not triggering for me, but I've recently gone through last year, 2023, burying my dad and watching him go through end of life with cancer. But before that, about 18 years ago, 17, 18 years ago, I dealt with a palliative care team for the first time ever. I hadn't heard of it, right? Hadn't heard of it. And I don't know if they had heard of Black people, just because the way we were cared for, and in a manner we were cared for. And it wasn't a great interaction. My sister passed of glioblastoma, and she was diagnosed and very at 18 years ago, there no treatments. Nobody lived past 12 weeks or 10 months was the longest, and it was like written up in a book, like 10 months. And this is before Ted Kennedy and all that. And I'll try to get through it, but I just, how that team, I think they put the most, I guess they were trying to be comforting, but it was the most morbid team, and they couldn't relate to my sister's wishes. My sister's wishes were to revive me at all costs. And they kept saying, hey, well, it's this kind of thing. You're going to pass away and all that. She was like, okay, these are the wishes, though. Well, it's going to hurt. Do you really want that to hurt the people? And I don't think we made a cultural connection and really her wishes. That's really important. And so my question stems from that. How can we make sure we receive the kind of care we want, whether it's spiritual, culturally, or if we're ever in that situation, we can't speak for ourselves, because she lost the ability to speak. And so it was just the family trying to communicate the wishes.
Right. And I just wanted to add, just so that everybody knows, glioblastoma is a kind of brain cancer. And so when Wayne says that his sister lost the ability to speak, it was because the cancer had affected her speech center.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, Wayne, I just want to start off by saying I'm sorry to hear about your father. And it is abysmal what you said about how your sister was treated as well. I am so sorry that you experienced, that you've had these things happen. And especially, I want to revisit what you said about your sister, especially. About 20 years ago, it's funny, that's about when palliative care became a subspecialty and was recognized by the American College of Graduate Medical Education. And it was the first time that they'd ever tried to create a standardized protocol for any aspects of palliative care. Because before that, people were kind of running roughshod, doing whatever they thought made sense in the moment. But we didn't have an organized schema to think about how we should be considering the different aspects of end of life for each of our patients at an individual level. We did not do that as a field very well. Unfortunately, I feel, and I'm not trying to blame anyone here, but I do feel that there is that lack of cultural understanding, just like in any other area of medicine. That's part of the reason that I'm here right now, is really just getting the word out there and trying to explain that, you know, palliative care shouldn't hurt. Medicine is not supposed to ever hurt you. And the fact of the matter is that, you know, culturally, I think, and spiritually, religiously, Black people, African American people in general, we are just such a deeply connected and deeply rooted spiritually community. And that as a result of that, a lot of people in medicine have this very antagonistic sort of attitude to that, or this idea that, oh, miracles aren't real and God's not real. Well, I'm sorry, maybe you don't believe that. But that is a part of my cultural value system, doctor. You know, you need to take, a lot of providers, I don't do a great job of stepping back outside of themselves and meeting patients and meeting families where they are. The fact that your sister's wishes, I mean, that's distressing. That's the sort of stuff that keeps me up at night, because you're right. These can be difficult or morbid conversations sometimes. I'll admit that. And it is very hard. But at the end of the day, in palliative care, the perspective that we have these days is really centered on making sure that your wishes are met. I promise every single patient that I meet, and this is true, my first time meeting you, I just established that it is not important what I have to say. I'm here to be a conduit for you. How can I get you whatever you need and whatever you find acceptable in terms of treatment? And how can I make sure that other people, that are other physicians, other providers, other social workers, nurse practitioners, whoever, everyone that is taking care of you needs to understand that these are your wishes, or these are your family's wishes. And there shouldn't be contention around that. That's totally inappropriate, because at the end of the day, do no harm also extends to meeting someone's wishes. I mean, because if you perceive it as harm and I'm doing it to you, that still counts as harm. It's not my narrow definition of what harm is. It's yours. And I'm here to try to honor the wish that you have of making sure that you have the quality of death and the quality of life that you find acceptable, whatever that means.
Man, I wish they could clone her,
I'm
right? And
saying.
have her in every single hospital, because, you know, that is exactly what's needed. That's really what medicine is supposed to be, and how doctors and healthcare providers are supposed to relate to their patients. And unfortunately, it's not. And that's why I wrote Excuse Me, Doctor, the book. That's why we do the show, to really try to help empower you as the listening audience, as the Be Health Empowered family, so that you have the tools that you need when you're not getting what you need, to make sure that your needs are met, right, by the healthcare delivery system. So, you know, hey y'all, this was a whirlwind. We covered a whole lot. But thank you all, Be Health Empowered family, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Lila. Thank you, Wayne. Y'all are fabulous. And of course, if we don't see you until next time, remember, be wise, be well, and be health empowered.
empowered.
There you go.